everyone, today I'll be sharing my August TBR, so let's just jump into it because there is a lot of books. This month there is a ton of amazing book clubs that I have found through Twitter, so I would like to share some with you. I'm definitely gonna not be able to get to all these books, but definitely want to share these amazing book clubs because they're reading some really interesting books, but unfortunately I can't get my hands on all of them by the end of August, but the ones that I do have I'll definitely be joining in. So for the first book club, it's the Crusty Book Club created by Chanel, and in August they're reading Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Now I've actually read this book, so if I have time I'm definitely going to reread it because I devoured this book in one night when I first read it, and I haven't reread it. So it's been about 2 years, so it's definitely time for a reread. So if I can get to it I will be reading Radio Silence, but even if I don't get to it I will be watching the live stream for this book. The next book club is the Hotties Book Club, run by a whole bunch of awesome Black creators, and they're reading in August Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. Now I will definitely be reading this book. I have already reserved it for my library, so hopefully it will come in time, but regardless I'll be reading it because it was actually meant to be the group book for the reading rush and I didn't know it was a group book, and a lot of people didn't know it was a group book, and so because I participated in the reading rush I definitely want to read this book and give it the love it deserves. It sounds very interesting, and so I'm very excited to read it and looking forward to the discussion at the end of the month. The next book club that I want to join this month is the Phase and Gaze Book Club, and in August they're reading The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. Now this is perfect timing because this book just arrived today. It's going to be my first N.K. Jemisin, and because it's an urban fantasy I grabbed it straight away. I love urban fantasy, and every time there's an urban fantasy that is starting to get a bit of pickup and hype, I'm all in. So I'm very excited to get to this book this month. A book club that I can't unfortunately join this month because I can't get the book in time is Brown Girl Book Club, and they're reading Cinderella is Dead. I'm really excited for this book, so when it comes out I will definitely be picking it up, but just know Brown Girl Book Club is reading it this month, so if you want to join in definitely check them out. The next book club that I'll be joining is the Bitch Readathon. It was more of a readathon, but because it's one book I will definitely be picking this up because they're reading The Wolf of Oran Yarrow by K.S. Villiso. I am so excited to read this book. I actually got this book for my birthday and I was lucky enough to get it signed, so this is definitely a special book and I'm really glad that there's a readathon for it, and they're breaking this book into parts, so each week you read a certain amount of chapters. So I'm definitely be reading this book. It sounds so amazing, and who doesn't want to read about a bitch queen? The next book club that I want to join is the Subtle Asian Book Club. This month they're picking up The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. I am so excited to read this book. I have only heard great things about this, and currently I'm seeing people getting arcs for the third and final book in the series, and everyone's saying how it ripped their heart out, and so I just want to jump on that train and get into this series. And so I'll definitely be reading this because this is also broken down into chapters for each week, so I think I can manage it along with all the other books I want to read this month. And lastly, if I have time, which with my next part of my TBR I might not, but I'll try and fit it in, is the Ember Read Along by Penguin. They are rereading the Ember in the Ashes series, and I read the first book, An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, back in 2016, so I'm pretty sure that was when this book came out, and I loved it. I remember just reading it and going, where's the next book? Where is it? And then the next book came, and guess what? I never picked it up. So now that the final book of the series is coming out very soon, I think it's time to reread this series. So I'll be trying to get to at least An Ember of the Ashes this month. If not, I will be reading them 100% in September. So those are all the book clubs I want to join this month. There's also a Patreon buddy read with Books on Chloe that I'm hoping to join. They're reading The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. I love Renee Ahdieh's writing. I've read all of her books besides Smoke in the Sun. Her writing is so magical and so beautiful, and hopefully my copy will come in the mail before the end of the month. So there's a whole bunch of book clubs that if you're interested in, definitely join in. There's a lot of really good books and book clubs out this month. There's a big range of books that you can pick up. This month there's also a Tome Topple readathon round from the 8th of August to the 21st. I always try and join in on Tome Topple. I own a lot of big books, and these prompts always get me to pick up books that I own but I don't necessarily have at the top of my TBR. So here are all the prompts, and here are all the books I'm hoping to read for Tome Topple. The first book I hope to read is The Diviners by Libba Bray. This is for the prompt to read a book that's been on your TBR the longest, and I've had this now for only a couple of years, but it's been on my Goodreads TBR for the longest time. So I definitely need to read this series. From what I've heard, it sounds like an amazing series and a bit spooky. So that's definitely different to what I normally read. So I hope to finish this. The next book I hope to read is Upon a Burning Throne by Ashok K. Banker. I am so excited to read this. I will be reading this for the prompts most recently acquired tome and also read one tome. I haven't heard many people talk about this, but I have heard Starla reads rave about this book, and from what she said, it sounds like an absolutely amazing book. I instantly bought it after her recommendation. This is going to be a priority this month. I will be 100% reading Upon a Burning Throne. The next book I want to read is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is for the prompts, a genre I don't normally read, and to read a standalone tome. Now, I have bought this book purely because of what everyone says about it, how so many people love this book. It's not my usual genre at all, and so it's definitely going to be a stretch to read it, but I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I love it. And this round of Tome Topple is definitely the push I need to at least pick up this book and give it a go. The next book I want to read is Song of Blood and Stone by L. Penelope. This is for the prompt to read a book by a Black author. I have had this book on my TBR for a very long time, and unfortunately it was so expensive in Australia, this book, to buy. But recently they brought out this beautiful edition and it was affordable, so I bought it last month and I'm really excited to read it. It sounds amazing and I'm putting this as a priority this month. The next book I'm going to try and read is Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the third and final book in the Illuminae Files trilogy, and I've had this book on so many different TBRs. It's like unimaginable. So this is for the book. So this book is for the prompt, a book that has been on a Tome Topple TBR before, and also for an audiobook, because I love the audiobooks for this series. I like to listen to the audiobook and physically read it at the same time. It's such like an immersive way to read this incredible series. So I'm hoping to finish this finally and say I've read the complete trilogy. And lastly, I want to read A Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab for the prompt, a tome with the most pages on your TBR. I recently have read the first two books in the Darker Shade of Magic series. I definitely need to read this, and I think I'll be able to finish it because I'm really excited to read it. I did start it, but then I stopped myself because I didn't want to rush the series. So I'm hoping to finish it this month. So that's all the books on my Tome Topple TBR. Very ambitious. It's 6 books in total that are massive, so wish me luck. I hope to, like I said, get to at least 3. They're my main priorities, and along with the book club books, there's a lot of books this month. In saying that, I also would like to read this month Girl Serpent Thorn by Melissa Bashadouse. This book just arrived today, so I'm really excited to read it. I hope to get to it this month. I believe it's a standalone fantasy, so it would be good to put in between like a couple of series, and I hope to read it this one. Another book I would love to read is The Extraordinaries by TJ Klune. This book also just arrived in the mail today, so I'm super excited to read it. I've been waiting like a month for this to come in the mail, and I love TJ Klune. I read so many of his books. Like, I think I've nearly read all of them. The only ones I haven't read is like the rest of the Tales of Verona series, and because this is his first, I believe this is his first YA novel, so I'm really excited to get to it, and I hope to fit it in this month. So those are all the books I want to read in August. It is a massive TBR. I do not know how many books I'll get to, but if I manage to get to at least half of these books, I'll be so proud, because I need to read more of my own books that are on my shelf, and these readathons and book clubs really help me do that. So I'm really excited to read this month. Like, there's so many amazing books in this pile, and I hope to find some new all-time favorites. So thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments what you're reading in August, what you're most excited to read, and I'll see you soon. Bye!